Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. All right, today we're diving into something I know a lot of you have been following really closely, and that's the recent press conference given by South Korean actor Kim Soo Hyun.
Yeah.
It happened in Seoul on Monday, March 31st, 2025. So pretty recent.
Very recent.
And, we've gone through all the news reports.
You've been sifting.
Yeah. To try to bring you guys, what's important, right?
Yeah.
Like, what did he actually say? The core stuff, yeah. And what's the context around all this? What are the big issues that he's trying to get across? I mean, you guys sent us these articles because you're looking for some clarity, right? But there's so much noise around this whole thing.
So much.
It's hard to kind of get to, what really matters.
Cut through.
Yeah, cut through the noise. And so that's our mission today, to kind of make sense of it all.
Absolutely. And I think, before we even dive into specifics, it's really important to acknowledge how sensitive this whole situation is. I mean, Kim Soo Hyun's press conference, it involved discussion of the late actress Kim Sae Ron.
Right.
And obviously, we're going to stick to the facts here, right? Just the information that's been reported, from the sources you gave us. Our goal is to understand, not to judge.
Definitely.
Not to pick sides. This is clearly a delicate matter.
Absolutely. And from what we've seen in these reports, Kim Soo Hyun, he addressed some very serious and very personal allegations, including, past relationship rumors with Kim Sae Ron, accusations from her family after she passed away,
Right.
and even questions about, the realness of some of the evidence that's been floating around. Authenticity of it, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
What were, his main points, when he first started talking? What was his opening statement?
Well, the reports say that he started off by apologizing. He apologized to Kim Sae Ron, and he also apologized to others who have been hurting as a result of all of this. He specifically mentioned his regret that Kim Sae Ron wasn't able to rest in peace because of these controversies that keep, popping up.
Yeah, and he was pretty honest about why he waited so long to, come forward and address all of this.
He was.
He even called himself a coward and explained that he was really focused on kind of protecting everything he had achieved.
Protecting
his career,
his image.
his image.
Everything.
And he was afraid of losing it.
Of losing it all.
Yeah. And he even admitted to denying things in the past because of that fear. I mean, it makes you think about the pressure these celebrities are under.
Absolutely. I mean, can you imagine having to deal with all of that? Constantly worrying about your image and what people think?
It's got to be a lot.
It's a lot. And he also expressed regret for not speaking up sooner. He said he felt that maybe if he had addressed things earlier, it might have, lessened some of the pain for his fans.
And his agency?
And his agency, exactly. And he actually did acknowledge their efforts in helping him put together this press conference. He also mentioned that every time something came up about him and Kim Sae Ron, something new was reported, he thought about just coming clean.
Oh, wow.
Revealing everything to try to put an end to what he called this hell-like situation for himself and everyone around him. But, as he explained, he hesitated because he knew that any decision he made could have serious consequences. And not just for him, but for other people as well.
So he felt responsible for kind of the ripple effect of his actions.
Absolutely. The weight of responsibility was very apparent in his statement. And this brings us to, I think, what really kicked off this whole recent wave of controversy that Instagram.
Right.
What was the timeline on that again?
So from what the reports say, it was on February 24th, 2024, when Kim Sae Ron posted this older picture.
Older photo.
Yeah, an older photo of herself and Kim Soo Hyun on her Instagram. And that basically just fueled all these rumors about them having dated in the past.
It reignited that speculation.
Reignited it, exactly. And, Kim Soo Hyun himself pointed out that this all happened while his drama, Queen of Tears, was airing.
And doing really well.
So you can imagine.
The stakes were high.
And initially, his agency, Gold Medalist, they denied there was any relationship.
Right, they did.
And Kim Soo Hyun admitted that this was a deliberate choice, that they made this decision to prioritize his career and the success of the drama.
Protect everything he'd built up.
Exactly. And, he understands that people criticize him for that choice.
He does.
And it's kind of this perfect example of how celebrities have to balance their private lives with their public image.
The two are constantly in tension. You have this carefully crafted public persona, and then you have your real life behind the scenes. And sometimes those two things clash.
Right. He talked about how he's, often put his celebrity identity first because of all the love and support he's got from fans.
He said, as the lead actor in a successful drama, he had so much to protect, and it wasn't just about him.
Yeah, he talked about the impact it could have had on everyone involved in the production. The other actors, the crew,
The team behind the scenes,
the production team,
everyone.
even the people working at his agency.
Their livelihoods were tied to his success.
Right, he was thinking about all those people when he made that decision.
It's a huge responsibility to carry.
It is, and he even said he's ready to accept any criticism that comes his way. He admitted that maybe his choices were, quote-unquote, selfish and cowardly, but, that's a pretty vulnerable thing to admit.
It is, and it shows a level of self-awareness. He knows that his actions have consequences, and he's willing to face the music.
And then he moved on to address probably one of the most serious allegations, which is that he dated Kim Sae Ron when she was underage.
And this is something that her family has been, pushing quite heavily. They're claiming that they started dating when she was just 15 and he was 27, and they say it lasted for 4 years.
So a pretty significant age gap there.
A very significant age gap. And on this point, Kim Soo Hyun's denial was completely clear.
Like no hesitation.
No hesitation.
Yeah.
He said, and I quote, "I never dated Kim Sae Ron when she was a minor."
Point blank.
Point blank. And that goes directly against what her family's been saying.
Absolutely. And then he addressed the incredibly tragic circumstances of Kim Soo Hyun's passing.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah. And the accusations that he or his agency somehow played a role in it because of a jet she owed.
Right, this idea that they were pressuring her about money.
Yeah. So what did he say about all that?
He said that their relationship was just like any other relationship. He completely denied that her death had anything to do with him or gold medalists pressuring her about some kind of debt. He said they dated, they had good feelings for each other, and then, like many couples, they broke up after a while and lost touch.
A pretty normal, relationship trajectory.
Exactly, like any other couple. He also mentioned that he knew Kim Sae Ron was in another relationship when she reached out to him after they broke up, which made him careful about responding.
So, kind of a complicated situation.
Yeah. And he brought up how the former CEO of their agency had a really tough time after Kim Sae Ron's DUI incident back in 2022. So he's trying to paint a fuller picture of everything that was going on at the time.
Giving some context.
Right, providing context. And then things got really intense when he started talking about the specific accusations from Kim Sae Ron's family.
Right, because they didn't hold back.
They did not. They accused him of pushing her to death, of manipulating her since she was underage, of threatening her with money, and even of being a murderer.
Wow, those are heavy accusations.
Incredibly heavy, and he got really emotional when he was responding to those claims. He also addressed this whole controversy about a supposed second debt payment involving him and Kim Sae Ron.
And what did he say about that?
He basically said he couldn't say for sure if it was completely made up, but he also couldn't admit to something he didn't do. So it sounds like there's some conflicting information or missing pieces there.
So still kind of unclear.
Yeah. And this is where things get even more complicated because he started questioning the authenticity of the evidence that Kim Sae Ron's family has been presenting.
Really?
He said that a voice recording and a Kakao Talk chat they shared seemed like they could be fake, like maybe they were created recently or even manipulated. So that throws a whole wrench into things.
It makes you question everything.
Absolutely. And he even pointed out some specific inconsistencies he found in a Kakao Talk message that's supposedly from Kim Sae Ron. He said there are things wrong with the age difference they mention, the agency name, the length of her contract, and they even say she was involved in casting and visual directing, but her contract was only for acting.
So he's basically saying these are fabricated.
He thinks it's all made up, all these fake testimonials and evidence, and he believes it's only coming out because they used to date.
And the accusations didn't stop there.
No, they did not.
Kim Soo Hyun also had to address some very serious accusations of pedophilia.
Right, stemming from these Kakao Talk conversations from 2016 that her family released.
Yeah, and they're using these chats to paint him as a pedophile who was grooming her.
Very serious allegations.
It's extremely serious. And Kim Soo Hyun, he denied these accusations as well. He said those 2016 Kakao Talk conversations weren't even with him. They were with someone else entirely. He even said his agency did an analysis, and they found evidence that different people were talking to Kim Sae Ron in the 2016 chats and the 2018 chats.
So he's suggesting that the chat logs might have been tampered with.
Right, and he also claimed that there are manipulated photos and videos being circulated as well.
So there's a whole digital forensics element to the story.
Absolutely. And after all these denials, he actually called for an investigation.
He did. He said he's open to criticism for his actions, but he won't just accept things that aren't true. He wants a full investigation into all the evidence that Kim Sae Ron's family has presented. And he said if their evidence is real, then it should hold up under scrutiny.
So he's ready to let the truth come out, one way or another.
Exactly. He's not going to back down. He said he can't just admit to things he didn't do, especially when he has so many people who believe in him. He's worried that people will keep twisting the truth, but he said he has to stand up for what he believes in.
Because if he doesn't, he's betraying himself and everyone who supports him.
Exactly. And his closing statement was really powerful.
What did he say?
He said, "I have done what I have done. I will take any criticism for that. But the things I haven't done, I haven't done. I want to clear my name. I will not ask for trust. I will prove it."
So he's ready to fight.
Absolutely. He's taking a stand.
This deep dive is brought to you by Stellar Network. Please do not re-upload. So to sum all of this up, Kim Soo Hyun has very publicly and very emotionally denied all these accusations against him, especially the claims that he dated Kim Sae Ron when she was underage and that he was involved in her death.
It's a messy situation.
It is, and he's challenging all the evidence that her family has presented, and he's demanding a full investigation to clear his name.
This whole case really highlights the intense pressure that celebrities are under and how their personal lives can become public spectacle, especially when tragedy is involved.
It makes you think about how we, as the audience, try to make sense of these complicated situations where there are so many emotions involved.
It's not easy to separate fact from fiction, especially when you have conflicting accounts and strong feelings on all sides.
Exactly, and it makes you realize how difficult it must be for celebrities to live their lives in the public eye, to try to be true to themselves while also dealing with the constant scrutiny and judgment.
Especially when you're dealing with something as sensitive as grief or loss.
Absolutely. And it leaves us with a lot to think about. How do we determine what's true in these kinds of situations?
What does it mean to be a public figure in today's world?
And how do we balance the need for privacy with the public's right to know?
Big questions.
Big questions. All right, that's it for our deep dive today. Thanks for joining us.